Some of the many joys of a road trip are their random, obscure finds. This food vendor has something rather unusual going on, provided that it's so hot outside. This is what I absolutely love about just doing a road trip through Sri Lanka. You got these unique little stalls. In this case, we have Kiri Pani, which is basically buffalo milk yogurt curd in a nice little earthen clay pot, and it's topped with a syrup that's produced from the Kithul palm trees. They're making use of the palm trees. Let's dig in. Look at that. It's almost like a creme brulee. Just get a torch and torch it, you got a creme brulee. That's lovely. Wow. Just the right amount of sweetness. It's thick, it's creamy, supremely rich, and that curd is made just right because you don't taste any grittiness, it doesn't sort of break apart, it's just got this creamy, uniform consistency. That's a lot of know-how. This is just one-stop shop for breakfast here. Love it. Probiotics down. I'm continuing my road trip through the island, heading inwards toward Nuwara Eliya. This is tea plantation country. Sri Lanka is world-renowned for its Ceylon tea. But before tea came to the island, it used to be a hub for coffee, which was brought over by the Dutch East India Company. So, what happened to all that coffee? Well, it got wiped out by coffee rust, a type of fungus. It's one of the many downsides of practicing monoculture. Today, Sri Lanka has 7 different districts of tea-growing regions, all with varying elevations. This is Nuwara Eliya, situated at roughly 2,000 meters above sea level, offering a cooler climate. There's numerous tea plantations that can guide you to a tasting, but it's something else to witness how this time-honored manufacturing process is still being practiced today. This is Somerset Tea Estate, a working tea plantation since 1880. The tea grown here is classified as Ceylon high-grown Dimbula, and it all starts on the second level with step number 1, withering.
The leaf has about 7 to 8% of moisture. These are called troughs.
And you're reducing the moisture content from 70 to 80% to
43% of moisture.
Nearly half of the moisture. This is step 1.
Yeah.
Shall we check out step 2?
Yeah.
Let's do it. The method of tea processing here in this estate is called orthodox rotoven manufacturing. The withered leaves get dropped in from the shoot into these machines, the rollers.
The chemical reactions take place here from the roller.
Wow.
When you break the leaf cells, polyphenol which comes out from the leaf cells, and you have oxygen out in the air.
Right.
So both will react together. It will make an enzyme called PPO, polyphenol oxidase.
These machines date back to around 100 years, give or take a few decades. And you can see it says Colombo on here. It was designed and manufactured by the British. And what I absolutely love about industrial grade hardware is not only is it cool and does job by the bulk, but it's also got a lot of finesse and accuracy in it. After rolling, the leaves go through a fermentation process. Surprisingly, it actually doesn't smell that iconic tea smell. It actually reminds me of the smell of agave, like steamed cooked agave. That's interesting. And the next steps include drying.
After the fermentation, so you will have still moisture. We use this dryer, which is called FBD. After the drying is been done, so it should be about 3 to 6% moisture, the final product.
The tea is then sifted and graded. There's 7 grades in the spectrum of tea, FPOP being the highest. And finally, all that hard work has to get to your table. So this is how they're packaged and shipped out to distributors worldwide. I've gone through the process of production. Now, it's finally time to taste. Somerset has laid out a variety of teas going from black all the way to white, from full-bodied and robust to the more delicate and nuanced. Okay, so finally tasting my favorite part. Right here, you've displayed all the grades of tea. On the opposite ends of the spectrum, this is white tea and this
black
is
tea.
black tea. So what's the proper way to taste tea? I've never done it. A tea cupping. Whoa. So you really oxygenated your palate.
The aeration should happen. When you taste from here to there, you will feel the harshness of the tea.
Really?
So when it's getting darker, it will be a little bit of bitter.
Okay. I swallowed it by accident. Let's try that again. I couldn't aerate it, I just sipped it. It's too good. Very nice. Shall we move on to the darkest one here?
Little bit of bitter. But I prefer to drink with the milk.
Yes,
When you
this would be
put
great
milk,
with milk.
yeah.
It just balances out that bitterness.
Yes.
But you know that bitterness, that astringent, it's pleasant. It's not unpleasant.
Yes. So aftertaste,
Yeah,
you will
it
have an
lingers.
aftertaste.
That's the beautiful thing about tea, that lingering aftertaste. I'm just gonna swallow that. It's so delicate.
It's
So
a little bit
floral.
of expensive. As an example, we'll say we are selling our dust ones at $3.5, maybe $4. This is about $100.
Wow, that's really nuanced. Just floral notes all around your palate.
That's why a lot of people like that white tea.
I can see why. Absolutely. Wow. Immersing myself in Somerset Tea Plantation has been an ethereal experience. To enjoy Ceylon tea at its most idyllic and pristine of settings has been a dream. As the hardware and machinery dating back from the 1800s chug away, I leave the high elevation, time-locked neat rows of tea plantation and its estates back towards and past the southern coastal strip of Gaul.